Let's make some German-style sourdough pretzels. First off, we're just going to mix all your wet and dry ingredients listed them on the bottom of the table. This is going to be a slightly enriched dough. If you don't have Diastatic Malt Powder, don't worry about it. It'll still come out good in the end. A little bit of sugar at the final end of the ingredient list just to help retain moisture after the bake. Since this is a relatively dry dough, this is running at 60% hydration. Similar to bagels, just adding a little bit of butter and sugar into the mix. So we're going to mix it all together to a nice shaggy dough. I'm feeling lazy today, so I'm throwing in my KitchenAid stand mixer. If you're running a little lower hydration or depending on the mixture you have, just keep it on speed 1 or 2 at max, because this is going to want to knock the bowl around and possibly damage your mixer. Just be careful. I like to let it mix for 4 to 5 minutes until it comes together very nice and starts clearing the bowl, just like you're seeing in the picture. Will just typically kill the mixer for about 10-15 minutes. Then I'll turn it back on, kick it on to speed 2, and just let it mix to 4 to 5 minutes until it's clearing the bowl really good. At this point, I'll just take it out of the mixer and just hand knead it on the table for a few minutes. Then just cover it up and we'll do some stretch and folds. It's very elastic and pliable at this stage. Haven't built much gluten development, so I'll be able to do like 4 folds or all around. All you're doing is just layering the gluten to get it nice and strong. Like my other sourdough video, I like to tuck it up into a ball. Just get some nice tension to the dough. Cover it for 15 more minutes. We'll do one last round of stretch and folds. You should get all 4 rounds, but yeah, be much less pliable at this stage. You're getting that gluten development nice and developed. Round it off into a ball. Then we're going to throw them back into a proofing container for about 3 hours. Shoot for a dough temp of around 70 to 80 degrees. This took me about 3 hours. See, it's nicely doubled and fermented. Then we're going to take it out into the counter. We're going to start with the pre-shaping. Knock a lot of the air out. Pretzels and bagels have very tight crumbs, so this is going to help influence the structure in the end. You don't want massive air pockets in the pretzel. I like to cut into strips for easier dividing. Divide into 125-gram dough balls. If you're going to do a giant pretzel, make a 250-gram dough ball, and it's just going to be twice the amount of dough, and you make a really big pretzel. To finish off pre-shaping, we're just going to flatten out, fold it up, and tuck it into a nice tight ball to have uniform shapes. We're going to cover and let rest for 15 minutes before we move on to our final stage of shaping. This will have 2 to 3 stages depending on how pliable the dough is. Flatten out into a rectangle, and we're going to tuck it into a nice tight cylinder. Just push and pull away towards itself, and then we're going to have a nice cylinder at the end. Make a V on both sides and slowly taper out to the ends. Don't go too hard. You're only going to get it to about 12 inches at this stage. You're going to notice it's going to want to pop back if you have some good gluten development. See how I even went overboard just to kind of showcase? It's going to start tearing on the edges if you go too overboard on the stretching part. Let it relax another 10-15 minutes. You're going to be able to get it rolled out much farther. Depending on how big you want your pretzels, how long and how wide you want them, you can go ahead and shape at this stage. I tend to like really tall pretzels, so I'll even let it rest a second time, and this is my 3rd go-around. Then we'll get on to how to actually make the classic pretzel shape. It's not as hard as you think. It will take some practice. This tube I'm forming is about 30 to 36 inches long. You can play around the length. Just depends on how big you want your pretzels. This is about the length of my table, but you just play around, see how you like it. Then we're going to take both ends, make a big U in front of you, take both the arms, cross over once. Then we're going to cross over twice. And then once you get that nice second cross formed, we're going to tack them down and kind of just tack them hard down into the belly of the pretzel. Push down really hard. During the lye dipping process, if you don't have it tacked down really hard, it's going to make it want to unfurl itself, just to save you some time later on. One more time, just kind of throw it out in a big U, cross the arms over twice, take them down and stick them to the belly of the pretzel. It'll get easier as you do them, so don't worry if you don't get it right the first time. We're going to proof one more time at room temp for about 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on your air temp, until it passes the poke test. And then these are going to go into the fridge for an extended period of time to develop a skin. This is going to help during the lye process and make it significantly easier to get them off the pans to dip in. Now we're going to go talk about lye. This is what gives pretzels its characteristic taste and aroma. You just can't quite get that authentic flavor or smell using baking soda or even baked baking soda method. I use 940 grams of cool water and 38 grams of lye. This makes a 4% lye solution. Lye is a very caustic chemical. This will denature the outside of the pretzels and enable much quicker browning and give that characteristic taste and smell. Wear nitrile gloves and eyewear. We're going to fully submerge these into the lye solution for 10 to 15 seconds. Try to grab right on the connection points of the arms and the bellies. If you don't grab them right there, those arms may disconnect from the belly. If you want a darker color, go longer. If you want lighter, go shorter. Just play around with the times. My personal preference is that 10 to 15 second range. 5 seconds is kind of a little too pale for me, but you'll still get that aroma in the end. It's still going to be really good pretzels. You just be real careful picking them up. Try not to splash too much. And we're just going to carry on through till we're done with all of them. Top with some pretzel salt. I'm going to link some in the description. You go as heavy or as light as you can, and then we're going to make one small cut in the belly. This will get exposed during the final oven spring, get that nice white belly and the contrast with the mahogany crust on it. Go as heavy or light on the salt as you want. Bake it either 425 or 450 degrees for 18 to 20 minutes total, depending on what color pretzels you want. Go higher for darker, lighter for lighter. Go until you get the color you desire. This is the giant pretzels I was saying you can make in another video. These are almost as big as my head, so go as big or small as you want. You're going to spritz with water at the end. This will help with aroma and really give a nice shine to it. Give it a try. Do a couple with and without. See how you like it. I recommend eating these as soon as they come out of the oven with your favorite mustard or beer cheese. They will be good for about a day, day and a half. They are a relatively dry dough. I really love making these, and if you make this, let me know how you like it. We'll catch you next time. Hope you enjoy.